Fill your cart at WagerTalk and Sports Memo and save 30% using coupon code SAVE30. Valid 3 days only, Wednesday, September 22nd through Friday, September 24th. Save over $10 on a 5% play. Save over $35 on a 7-day all-access package. Save over $600 on a full year of all-access and get in on every sport. Or load your cart with all of the above and save over $645. Remember, you can only use one coupon at WagerTalk and one coupon at Sports Memo per customer between now and Friday at midnight. So make sure to load your cart full and maximize your 30% savings.
All right, guys, well, welcome in. Happy Friday to you. Hope it's been a profitable week thus far. We're certainly hoping to make it a profitable weekend for you. Here with Pony Pundits, powered by WagerTalk.com, as there's going to be an awful lot of familiar horses we're going to be mentioning here coming up for the Pennsylvania Derby at Parx, 11th race Saturday. That would be tomorrow. And who better to break down the Pennsylvania Derby than the pundits themselves? Marco, D'Angelo, and Sig in the house. And if I got to talk about Midnight Bourbon one more time after this, Marco, I'm going to die. So I hope this is the last time we've got to talk about Hot Rod Charlie and go down the list. But in all seriousness, this is going to shape up to be one hell of a race here tomorrow.
Yeah, Joe, I have a feeling that you're going to be talking about them one more time this year because everybody's pointing to the Breeders' Cup. So, sorry, I hate to put you out, but you're going to have, a couple more Midnight Bourbons. I know that we're really twisting your arm to do that, Joe. We've got 10 horses that were entered in this race on Saturday, Joe, but we've lost 2 of them. One of them just this morning, and that was Keepmeinmind. And, we know how, fond I am of that horse, but can't do it this week. He's out. And then the big name out, which was out early in the week. Bob Baffert saw the post draw, said, I got the 9 hole, I'm out of here. And he scratched early in the week where Keepmeinmind was actually a foot bruise, why he's getting scratched this week. But Medina Spirit will show up somewhere else later on. Maybe they have different testing policies where they'll show up at. I don't know. Did I say that out loud?
You really did, but that's okay because nobody's going to argue with you here. Sig, it's interesting. That was, Medina Spirit would have been the morning line favorite in this race, but Baffert just didn't like that outside spot here. Are you shocked that he opted not to ship him?
I am not shocked at all, Joe. Actually, I think he heard that there were going to be more stringent testing policies being held at Parx this weekend, so kept him away. He's not going to want to ship the horse across country without a chance to win, and that's why they waited. They didn't ship Medina Spirit across until they saw the draw, and at that point, they decided to pull him out. So, like Marco said, he'll show up somewhere. I'm guessing somewhere maybe in the Del Mar meet coming up here in October, in November. But looking forward to seeing if he actually has anything in that horse or not coming forward without the added.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure
don't say it. Don't. Marco did it. Don't do it. Don't you do it. I love it. Well, the bottom line is
we still never going to be a guest on here.
No, he already called. He said, screw the both of you. We've got 8 horses left, though, which still makes it a very interesting race. And before we dive in, guys, and break these horses down in this race, I do want to remind you, of course, race days. You got Sig's card. They're available. His daily racing reports available each and every race day by 9 a.m. Visiting directly at his page at WagerTalk, wt.buzz/Sig. Get there and grab those daily racing reports. And Marco, right now, offering you guys an amazing opportunity. How about an entire weekend? Get 3 days of all access, all sports, all plays here for the next 3 days, including a huge 5% best bet he's got going on this weekend. He's already 6-1 in his last 7 with his 5% best bet. So, guys, great opportunity for you to hop on right now. Get every one of Marco's plays for the next 3 days. Just $69. Visit him at WagerTalk.com. All right, guys, let's dive into this field if we can. And we'll start with number 1. I don't even know, Marco, does this screw up who we're going to first here now with 2 scratches?
No, it was my week for the odd-numbered horses, and
Okay.
I get Fulsome, and
Yep.
yeah, I got a 10-to-1 shot. We screwed up here somehow. I'm not supposed to have long shots out of the gate, but this is a Brad Cox long shot, so they're never really a long shot. Brad Cox has had an amazing 2-year run on the racing scene, and him and Florent Giroux, those two, when they hook up, 61% in the time they hit the board. Now, I will say this horse likes to win. 7 starts this year. He's got 5 wins. He has raced in 3 grade 3 stakes. Now, the grade 3 stakes, guys, sometimes, they're grade 3 simply because the name of the race. The horses that show up there might not necessarily be graded stakes company. And I think that's a little bit of the case here. He won 2 of those 3 races, was third in the other one, and he just doesn't have the speed figures that the other horses have in this race. With that said, too often this year, I have thrown a Brad Cox horse off my trifecta, only to see that Brad Cox horse rolling down the center of the racetrack to blow up an exacta or a trifecta. So, although I am not going to use him on the show here as one of my top 4 horses, I would suggest maybe to put him on your trifecta underneath, because he does have the style. If we get some speed early in this race, he can pick up the pieces late. And as we talk about some of the other horses in this race, I do expect to see a very honest pace in this race. It got benefited somewhat by the fact that Medina Spirit's not in there, because there would have been 3 of them going for the lead, but there's still going to be 2 horses battling for the lead early. So we are going to get an honest pace. So don't totally pitch this horse.
All right, keeping an eye on Fulsome. We told you, keep me in mind, scratched here, so we'll move on to the number 3 horse here, Speaker's Corner, Sig. Bill Mott sending this horse.
Actually got to stay with me.
All right. So sorry, Sid. You got booted, man. I knew there was going to be a catch here. Hey, let me turn to you, Marco, with Bill Mott and a horse that's raced, what, 3 times? Is that it?
That's it, and it will make up for it because the other scratch was a odd-numbered horse, so Sig will get his fair share at the end. Don't worry about it. It might be a couple long shots, but he'll get his horses. Speaker's Corner. This is a very intriguing horse. He's got 1 race this year so far, and obviously that 1 race was very impressive. He win by 5 lengths, open lengths, 5 1/4 lengths, and was pulling away. This is a horse that showed a lot of promise at 2, but only raced twice. It's that second race at 2 that's caught everybody's eyes with this horse. And you always hear people talk about horses and who they beat, and what those horses did after they came out of that race in their next race. Well, when I tell you who Speaker's Corner broke his maiden against, you're going to hear a who's who of a lot of horses we talked about a good bit this summer in other big stake races for 3-year-olds. How about Cotto River? That was a horse on the Derby Trail. That horse he beat in that race. That horse finished second. Of course, Cotto River come back to win his next start. Greatest Honor. That horse was on the Derby Trail. Didn't win his next start out, but we know did win several races after that. Miles D won his next race out of that particular race and was in one of the recent races that we just talked about a couple weeks ago. Bourbonic, who was in this race, was a big long shot winner in New York, got him into the Derby. And then another horse in there, Original, was a horse, not so much a big name, but did come back to win his next start out of that race. So for a horse that was making his second lifetime start, he came from off the pace and ran down all those good horses to get up and get the win, and then he makes his debut. Obviously, there was a problem early in the season that kept him sidelined till now, but this horse is ready to roll. And Bill Mott, might look ambitiously placed at the beginning, but he usually doesn't throw his horses to the wolves. He's got to figure this horse has a big shot here, and I can tell you this will probably be the wise guy horse this week at Parx for the long shot. I expect him to get bet down. He was 12-1, before the scratches. Now he's at 8-1 with the adjusted morning line odds. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off 5 or 6-1, comes down a little bit less. This will be a horse I will put on my ticket underneath. All
right. Well, we're going to move on. Sig, I don't even know. Do you want a horse? Should I go to 4? Or should we just give it back to Marco at this point? But I'll give you Weyburn. I'll throw it out there for you. Talk to me about Weyburn, 12-1 morning line here.
Joe, just let Marco do the entire show. I'll just sit here and look pretty. It's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it. I'll go a little bit here on Weyburn. He won the Gotham here at Aqueduct back in March, and he appeared to be on the Derby Trail before fading the 4th in the Wood Memorial here. They didn't bring him back until June after running him in the Kentucky Derby. He came back in June. He ran he ran as runner-up to Mandaloun in the Kentucky Derby at Monmouth, and then he was part of the early pace at Saratoga in the Jim Dandy before he faded the 4th. His sire, Pioneer of the Now, was fantastic at this 9-furlong distance that we're going to see in the PA Derby here on Saturday. But he has not been his best at this 9 furlongs. As you can see, I mean, he lacks stamina. He seems to fade. Even if he's on the lead, he fades there in the stretch here. And while this colt may have some wins left in him, I don't believe they're going to be in Grade 1 stakes. I'm not using them on my tickets. I'm going to be tossing them on Saturday.
All right. Well, we're moving on then. Number 5, I Am Redeemed. And how about the local horse Done Good? Make a hell of a story here, Marco, at 20-1. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, if you want to go with horses for courses or home turf advantage, then okay, we could take a shot there. But this horse is very ambitiously placed to be in this field. Now, I will say this much. The trainer, Penny Pierce, last 30 days only has sent 18 horses to the gate, but has won 33%. That's a pretty high number. You're winning 1 out of every 3 races that you're entering. And Jockey Connection as well, he's winning at a 21% clip. So definitely the local connections here with this horse. But I look at the races the horse has been in. This will be the biggest race of his career. He did race in a $100,000 race last time out, won that race, but there was nobody in that field anywhere close to this. He got a pretty good speed figure out of that race, so I don't really know how that's going to translate when he's up in class and has to do that into better fractions of the race. And if you look, he 4 career starts. He broke his maiden special weight first time out. Then whenever he stepped up to allowance optional claiming race, finished second. Then he come back and win the next one by a nose in a little bit of a tougher race. This is still just so big of a jump in his racing style is going to have him, I think, a little bit too close to the pace if he races the way his lines show, and I just think they're going to suck the life out of him if he tries to run too close to the early pace with these better horses. He is a pitch for me.
All right, well, we'll move on. I knew we'd get to him sooner or later. Todd Pletcher and Carmouche looking at Bourbonic here, Sig, and I feel like we've seen this movie before, and Bourbonic, not enough speed, tries to close, never gets there, loses by more than double-digit lengths. What are we going to see this time?
Yeah, Joe, I was raised to be and told that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, but the premise of the show basically doesn't allow that, so here we go. Bourbonic's been MIA since it's out of the clouds victory in the Wood Memorial at 72-1. He had a perfect setup in there. They went 50-2 for the first quarter. He set up his close in that race, and he basically passed his barmaid in there in Dynamic One to get that. He got himself a spot in the Kentucky Derby, and he just looked happy to be there when he got the Churchill Downs that first Saturday in May. He never got closer to his finishing position at 13th. They brought him back in June in the Belmont Stakes, which was basically a race I think that he was more suited for based on the length, the mile and a half length and so forth. But he did fade again late in that race here, trying to get the mile and a half distance. Thinking they would have a good spot for him, they shifted him to Mountaineer in August for the West Virginia Derby, and he went off at 7-2. He was running late, but he was they started the run too late. One thing to point out was that Eric Cancel was aboard that day for the ride, and Kendrick Carmouche has been riding him. He'll be back on him on Saturday here at Parx. But he's proven repeatedly to me that he's not capable of competing with the top 3-year-olds. And based on that West Virginia Derby performance, he might not even be capable of competing with the second and third tier of 3-year-olds here. Bourbonic's another toss for me.
All right, gotta go. He's tossing them, which leads us to number 7. And I feel like we could play 3 previous episodes of Pony Pundits and get what Marco's going to say here. Except, Marco, does Hot Rod Charlie make the turn and wipe 3 other horses out this time? What do you think?
Oh, did you have to bring that up, Joe? Seriously, okay? I know you're mad at me that I didn't tell you about my horse that paid $28, but you got to keep kicking me square below the belt every time with this one. Yeah, Hot Rod Charlie, we had a big win wager on him in the Haskell. We had the exact Stone Cold punched, and yeah, and then he took a hard turn and took out Midnight Bourbon, and not a good situation. This is the best horse in the country that hasn't won a Grade 1 stakes race. Well, he did win one. He got disqualified, but this horse brings it every single race, Joe. If you want to classify this guy, he would be your blue-collar worker with his lunch pail, going to work every day. He shows up every single race, and he gives everything he's got. And you look at it, the problem is he's run into essential quality. We all remember that Belmont race when he went absolutely suicide fractions, the fastest first quarter and first half in Belmont history, and still was battling essential quality right to the wire in that dueling stretch run. And then last time out, we know what happened there. He's the horse to beat, and he's versatile. He can be on the lead. He can be right off the lead. He's got great gate speed to put him in the position where he wants. And to be honest with you, that's the reason Medina Spirit is not coming here, because Hot Rod Charlie's inside of him with the speed, and Midnight Bourbon, the other speed horse. And Medina Spirit probably would have got caught wide going into that first turn, and they just didn't want to battle with the 3 speed horses. And we know Medina Spirit needs to be on the front end to be at its best. Hot Rod Charlie, this is his race to lose, and you got Flavian Pratt aboard. And I got to think, as much as you've busted my stones about that ride, how much do you think he's heard about that ride? Okay. He's going to make amends Saturday in Philadelphia. And, when it's all said and done, go out and get some cheesesteaks and celebrate riding in a straight line. Okay. Hot Rod Charlie gets it done.
I think Doug O'Neill actually drew him a map this time, but that's good. They're ready. Number 7, Hot Rod Charlie. We're going to move on. Midnight Bourbon here. Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana Jr. Sig. Also been very consistent along with Hot Rod Charlie this year in races. What do you think we're going to see this time?
Yeah, Joe, this horse has been the model of consistency here. If you go back and look over his 11 starts, he's only missed a board twice. That was a 6th place in the 19-horse Kentucky Derby field this year when he got a horrible ride from Mike Smith. And that did not finish, that Marco just talked about, in the Haskell due to the interference that was unnecessary from Hot Rod Charlie. They got Hot Rod Charlie backed up to the 6th place on the disqualification. Midnight Bourbon never finished that race as the NC of the rider and never crossed the finish line there. Every other time he's been on the board, either a win, a second, or a third here. He keeps doing something right. As he came back in the Travers last month, he gave Essential Quality all he could handle in the whole. I mean, Essential Quality is a horse that always does just what's needed to win the race. But in that stretch run there, Midnight Bourbon looked like he had every shot to overtake him in there. He had an excuse for the poor race in the Haskell. He's as consistent as they come next to Hot Rod Charlie, who, I mean, they're the two of them. They're going to be battling here in this race. He's got the best chance to upset in this field. I see him being part of your exotic tickets. And guys, take a look at his past odds here: 5-1 in the Travers, 5-1 in the Haskell, 3-1 in the Preakness, 7-1 in the Kentucky Derby. People don't bet this horse, but this horse shows up every single time, and he always cashes tickets for you. Guys, Midnight Bourbon is definitely going to be in my top selections here, and he's going to be there. I can guarantee it.
All right. Well, that leaves us one other horse here. Medina Spirit, of course, scratched here, guys. But American Revolution. Pletcher at it again, bringing our boy Luis Saez here, Marco. And it's interesting, Pletcher, in this horse. Certainly has dominated the New York competition. But what do you think about American Revolution in this race?
Yeah, I don't know about the school system down in Florida, but 10 is an even number, Joe.
Yes. Oh, so am I supposed to go to Sig? I just don't know. I'm so sorry. All right, Sig, you know what? Now I'm going to get what both of you think of this horse. How's that? Go ahead, Sig. I'm going to go to you. Tell me what you think of it, because it's Luis Saez, and Pletcher's got him here for a reason. So what do you think of the horse?
Well, Joe, I can see how you could assume that Marco had this horse. He is 15 to 1 in the morning line. Another very lightly raced horse. We talked about Marco talked about Speaker's Corner earlier, only having 3 races. American Revolution's only got 4 races under his belt here. But ever since Todd Pletcher took over the training duties for this colt out of Constitution, he's done nothing but win. Rudolph Broussette had him initially his 2-year-old season, finished 4th in his only maiden special weight race for them. Pletcher took over the training here as a 3-year-old. He didn't come back into the races until June. He won that maiden there, came back, won the New York Derby at Finger Lakes, and then they put him in a state-restricted Albany at Saratoga, which he also won here. The horse that we talked about earlier, being the Parx horse, has 3 wins. All 3 wins were in state-restricted company. This horse as well, 3 wins and 3 wins in state-restricted company here. It's a big step up in class here for him, but the fact that Luis Saez is riding for Todd Pletcher definitely rings a bell for me, and I think that you have to use this horse on your exotic tickets. He's been getting faster every race. Pletcher seems to be getting the most out of this horse, and I think he's definitely a shot here to hit your exotic tickets, and I think he may be a part of my selections here too going forward.
All right. Well, we've got a little love for this horse, and I know, Marco, when we take a look at the tickets here, I'm sure you're going to have a little something to say here about American Revolution, the second of, let's say, Pletcher's horses with our boy Luis Saez. So let's go there. Let's take a look now at this race, the Pennsylvania Derby, Saturday. Tell me what your card looks like here, Marco.
Well, Joe, I got 2 even horses and 2 odd horses. I just want to confuse you a little bit more. But we're going to start with number 7, Hot Rod Charlie. He's on top. He is the horse to beat. I don't need to talk about him anymore. Talked enough about him. Number 8, Midnight Bourbon, was not one of the horses that I covered, but I will point out one thing. Everything that Sig said about Midnight Bourbon, absolutely true. A gutty performance last time out against Essential Quality. But I want to point out, Midnight Bourbon was left alone on the lead, uncontested, through a very slow half. That will braven a horse up, and that's what enabled him. Still, don't take anything away from him, because a horse, as good as Essential Quality, still should blow by you. But he held on till very deep and stretch right before the wire, before Essential Quality got up for the win. He will not get that soft of fractions in this race, and Hot Rod Charlie will not let him loose on the lead. The 10 horse that Sig just talked about, American Revolution, this is one of the reasons that Todd Pletcher is such a good trainer. He doesn't feel the pressure of rushing a horse, okay? They raced this horse once at 2 for educational purposes, and then they quit with the horse for the winner. Brought the horse back, didn't rush him back, probably had some minor problems, took their time, let him develop. There are a ton of big races left this season and then early on for a 4-year-old. Don't risk ruining a horse. Let them develop at their own speed. And we've seen this so often. You'll see a horse that wasn't on the 3-year-old trail at all, and all of a sudden catch fire over those last 4 months of the season. And this horse has the license to do that. His style will have him mid-pack, and if they go fast early, and some of the horses that were chasing early tire, he's going to pass horses in a stretch. I used him 3rd, and then I already talked about Speaker's Corner. Going to be the wise guy horse in this race. You have to use him, and I have him closing out the bottom of my tries and supers. Guys, it'll be simple for me. You see the numbers there, but Hot Rod Charlie will be used 1st and 2nd in all of my exactas and tries. with the combinations of those horses we talked about. I do not see Hot Rod Charlie finishing worse than second in this race.
All right, liking Hot Rod Charlie. Sig, what's your card look like? How does it differ from Marco's?
Well, Joe, our cards ended up pretty close to the same here. We get the same 1-2s, and our 3s and 4s are just a little looped over here. No comment on Keep Me in Mind, scratch off of Marco's card, and then him picking up one of my horses. But, hey, you got to do what you got to do. But let's get to Hot Rod Charlie. He's arguably the best 3-year-old out there. Essential quality, his connections will disagree with me, and they're going to make the argument. And they can say, look at the races and so forth. But Hot Rod Charlie, that Belmont, I'm never going to forget that Belmont performance. That was the guttiest performance I've seen out of horse, probably at least the last 10 years, if not my lifetime here. If you throw out this horse's debut on the turf, he's never been more than a length and a half from the winner in any race since that. He's hit the board in all these races. He's won some races, some seconds, some thirds, but never more than 2 lengths away from the winner at the wire. He's always there. He's basically riding his race. And he hit that basically unnecessary disqualification that took the Grade 1 Haskell away from him. Flavian Pratt did not need to come over when he came over there to cause the interference that took him down. He could have still won that race without coming in and taking out Midnight Bourbon in that race. So Hot Rod Charlie is definitely the horse to beat in here. He'll be on top. I'm going to probably key him on some exactas and trifectas. Midnight Bourbon, like I said, I'm using him second in here. Very consistent, always in the first couple spots in the money here. And then I went to Speaker's Corner. I didn't get to say anything about Speaker's Corner. It was one of Marco's horses here. But he's definitely a wild card in this field. Marco's right. He will be the wise guy horse in here. Began that 2-year-old campaign as the odds-on favorite at Saratoga last September, and then broke his weight in that second attempt in October of last year here at Belmont. He was away from the track for over a year, or almost a year here, and nobody really knows the reasons. I mean, I'm sure there were many reasons for it, but he made that 3-year-old debut at Saratoga here back in August in that allowance, and he was pulling away from that field by more than 5 lengths at the finish line, going 7 furlongs. And Marco mentioned this in his analysis. One of Belmont's strengths is knowing when to place his horses, where to place his horses, and when they're ready. I think this horse is sitting on a really big effort here, and I think he'll definitely be in there at a price. I would definitely have him on your exactas and trifectas here. It's going to be the Street Senses Colts' first time going 2 turns, which should be a little interesting for him, but I don't think he'll have any problem with it. Like I said, he'll be on my exacta tickets. And then I just talked about American Revolution. I used him in my 4th spot here. I think it goes 7 with any combination of 3, 8, 10 in the 2nd and 3rd spots here. Hot Rod Charlie's race to lose, though.
Interesting, too. No Fulsome on either one of your tickets, huh? Coming from the certainly the money horse there, Marco. I'm shocked. You're usually always throwing out the bomb there. But it'll be interesting to watch Fulsome racing this in the number 1 spot.
Yeah, and Joe, I'll have him on some of my tickets that I go a little deeper. I'll put him on the 3rd and 4th spot underneath. And that's the beauty when you key, just a handicapping tip. Right. Sometimes it bites you when you don't box. Sig likes to jab me every time I don't do a box. But if you do a key, you can use an extra horse for the same price. But you're putting your one horse has to be where you put them, and then you can add another horse underneath. And that's where I'm going to do, because I just think that Hot Rod Charlie is, light years ahead of this field. So he will be my key horse in this race.
Should be an interesting race, guys. Parx, race 11 tomorrow to Pennsylvania Derby. Make sure you check it out before you do. Head over to WagerTalk, though. A couple of great opportunities here. One with Sig and his daily racing reports each race day. 9 a.m. Eastern time, guys. You can hop over to wt.buzz/Sig. Grab his daily racing reports all week long. And Marco, ready to go. Big 5% play this weekend. Why not grab every play, every sport of Marco's? $69, guys. 3-day all-access pass right now, including that big 5% play he's got. Grab it at WagerTalk.com. And there you got it. Pennsylvania Derby should be a lot of fun. We'll be back again, of course, next Friday for another edition of Pony Pundits. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Make sure you come back and join us. And on behalf of Marco and Sig, best of luck with your plays all weekend long, guy. We'll talk to you again next Friday with Pony Pundits, powered by WagerTalk.com. Good luck, guys.
Marco D'Angelo's baseball is hitting 68% since the All-Star break, going 34-16, netting his clients a profit of $5,601, making him the #1 MLB handicapper at WagerTalk since the midpoint of the season. So how would you like to get the rest of Marco's baseball free throughout the World Series? Through Sunday at midnight, if you purchase Marco's college football and NFL combo package, we'll toss you in his baseball selections through the World Series for free of $449 value. To redeem your free Major League Baseball through the World Series, just email support@wagertalk.com after you purchase, and we'll add your access within 24 hours.